بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. So we continue our discussion about قاعده الطهاره. We said in addition to one part of موثقة عمار from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, which is general and says كل شيء نظيف حتى تعلم أنه قذر, we have some hadiths that refer to particular cases. And then we said these few hadiths that refer to particular cases like water, wuzu, and this type of things can only be used as a proof for asalatul tahara or qa'idatul tahara if there are two conditions fulfilled. One is tanqihul manat, and that is to be able to establish what's the reason for this ruling and then extend it to a place that you are sure the same reason is available. And we said this is different from qiyas. The second condition is that you should be able to say that in these cases it was not because of istishab that we assumed tahara is there. Because one may say in all these cases, because water was previously known to be tahir, we assume it is still tahir till it is proved it is najis. But asalatul tahara or qa'idatul tahara can be even for the cases that the previous condition is not known. Understand? So there are two types of cases. For example, you say this water was tahir, you don't know whether najis has touched it or not, you say it is still tahir. Okay, this can be because of istishab. But if there is something that you even don't know the previous conditions, and then you say still we assume it is tahir unless it is proved it has become najis, then this is qa'idatul tahara. So, if you manage to argue that in all these hadiths of the second category, it's not because of istishab and then you do tanqih manat, it can be additional argument for qa'idatul tahara. But additional. Still, the main argument is what? Muwaththaqatu Ammar. Yes.
Manat. How do you spell it? Is it manat? Manat means
manat. Manat. M-A-N-A-T.
So manat, isn't it negation?
Manat means like criterion. What is the ruling tied to? Means what is the thing that the ruling really is tied to, you know?
Like a basis.
The basis, the reason. The third argument. So the first was موثقة عمار كل شيء نظيف حتى تعلم النقد. The second was few hadiths that are about particular cases. The third is to say that what we know as habit and practice of Shari', the legislator of Islam, Salaam alaikum wa rahmatullah, is to explain najasat, not what is tahir. Yeah. So you find the things which are listed as najas, because if Shari wanted to say what is tahir, should have mentioned millions of things. Yeah? So what we have is what is najas. This means that the first principle, the first assumption is everything is tahir. Unless we tell you that these are few things which are najas. So these are excluded. But the general pattern is tahara. So some people have tried to use this point as a proof for قاعده الطهاره. So everything in Islam is supposed to be tahir unless Allah, or on behalf of Allah, the Prophet or Imam, they tell us that this is excluded. This is najas. The same is about muharramat. We say everything is halal unless it is proved to be haram, and therefore we have asalatul bara'ah. كل شيء لك حلال حتى تعرف أنه حرام. So these are not totally disconnected. It's the same approach. The same approach. I want to add something, that perhaps this approach is not only in fiqh. This approach is part of Islamic worldview. That we believe good prevails bad, light prevails darkness. So we assume everything is okay, everything is good, unless something is proved to be bad. Yeah? People are not guilty unless it is proved to be guilty. Not that people are guilty unless they are proved to be guilty. Yeah? So you see, this is not an exception. The whole Islam is based on this, that you consider everything to be, good, right, nice, unless it is proved otherwise. Pardon? Yes, exactly. Sheikh Irwani accepts this point, this third argument, but he has a reservation. He says this point is good, but this can be used for ash-shubahatul hukmiyah. When you don't know something, it is najis or not, you assume that in Islamic legislation it is tahir. But this would not be a good proof for establishing tahara in instances. Because you already know that, for example, blood is najis, water is clean, you know that. Now the question is that blood has touched this water or not. You understand? So he says this would not be that much applicable to the doubts which are about external things. Of course, maybe you say, even here, although it's not as clear as Shubahat Hukmiyah, but even here we can assume that it has not been touched by najis. The fourth argument is istishab. Some people have said, if you have doubt whether something is najis or not, we can assume that the previous condition, which was عدم تشريع النجاسة, is carrying on. So there was a time, for example, before Islam, or before even previous Sharia, this was not najis. Now you have doubt whether it has later become najis or not, introduced as najis or not. Okay? So the previous condition is known to be not najis. We bring it forward. This is called istishab. So with istishab of adamu tashri' al-najasa, we can prove what? Tahara. So this is another argument. But he says, okay, this is good where najasa is an obstacle. And here you can say it's not proof that the obstacle exists. But if tahara is a condition, then with this istishab, you cannot establish tahara because it becomes asl muthbit. Asl muthbit. So now I have to remind you of what we studied in usul al-fiqh, in al-mujaz. If you remember, we said istishab is a religious ruling and can only be used in religious matters. You cannot use istishab in non-religious matters. You cannot also use istishab in something which is not religious, but if you prove it, may have religious implications. This is called asl muthbit. So with istishab, you cannot establish a fact and then bring out of it some religious implications. Okay? For example, someone was married to someone. We don't know whether that person is still alive or not. You cannot say with istishab, I argue that he is still alive, and because he is still alive, then he is still her husband, and still, for example, some religious rulings apply. You can do istishab of marriage. That's another issue. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying whenever you have doubt, marriage is void. But I'm saying technically, you can do istishab of marriage, but you cannot do istishab of life of someone because that's not a religious issue. Okay? Because what we are sure is that in Sharia we can do istishab, but we cannot do istishab to establish facts outside. Yeah? So for example, if you are a doctor, you cannot do istishab. You say, no, my hand was clean and no, I don't need to wash it. I do istishab. Every time you have to wash your hand because istishab is not for these things. You cannot, you know? Or for example, if you want to, for example, I don't know, drive, for example, backward to come out of your car park, you cannot say 5 minutes ago there was no one and I do istishab and I go. Maybe then there is someone, you kill him. Istishab cannot be applied in non-religious matters because we cannot establish facts, even if those facts may have religious implications. This is called asl muthbit. Istishab cannot be used for asl muthbit, means to prove. Muthbit is to affirm, to prove. Istishab is not to be used as asl muthbit. Okay? So, here we have to be careful. we cannot, according to Sheikh Irvani, use istishab of Adamu Ja'al Najasa and then argue from it that Tahara is proved and then the condition of Tahara is fulfilled. Yes, if Najasa was an obstacle, we can do istishab of Adamu Najasa. But to do istishab Adam al-Ja'al for Najasa and then as an implication establish Tahara, which is what we want. If Tahara is shart, means Najasa is not important for us. Tahara is important for us, then it would be a problem. In any case, that's maybe too technical. What is important is that some people have said we can use also istishab to establish Tahara, but we say قاعده الطهاره is not dependent on knowing the previous condition. Like someone says, this water, I don't know what was the previous condition. Maybe from the beginning it was najis, but still you can say it's tahir. Or iron as a hukmiyah. You don't know it's najis or not, for example. You say, I assume it's tahir. Now let's go to the sanad, to the chain of narrators of Muwaththaqatu Ammar. Because for us, the most important source, which is very comprehensive and is not about particular case, is that sentence from Muwaththaqatu Ammar. كل شيء نظيف حتى تعلم أنه قدر. So let's see the hadith chain of narration. This Muwaththaqah, as I said before, is actually a long hadith. It's not just one line, two lines. But it has been scattered in Wasa'il al-Shi'a in different parts depending on the subject. Because part of it was about, for example, Tahara, part of it about something else. All of it is mentioned in Tahdhib al-Ahkam. By whom? Sheikh Tusi, Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayh. And in the version that we have in Tahdhib, we have that sentence, كل شيء نظيف. Part of it is mentioned in Istibsar, but doesn't have that كل شيء نظيف. So this does not help us. The one which is in Istibsar doesn't have that general sentence. Okay? Is it clear? The one in Tahdhib has it. Part of it is also in Kafi, but not with that general section. It is also mentioned in Man La Yahduruhu al-Faqih, but without sanad. Sanad is not complete. It's mursal. It is part of sanad. So, the only place that we have it with that particular sentence, which is very important for us, is where? Tahdhib. In Tahdhib, you have this chain. Muhammad ibn Ahmad ibn Yahya an Ahmad ibn Yahya an Ahmad ibn al-Hasan ibn Ali ibn Faddal an Amr ibn Sa'id an Musaddaq ibn Sadaqah an Ammar al-Sabati an Abi Abdullah. So this is the chain that you have in Tahdhib. Okay? The problem in this chain is Ahmad ibn Yahya. I repeat for you, it was Muhammad ibn Ahmad ibn Yahya from Ahmad ibn Yahya. Muhammad, the son of Ahmad, the son of Yahya, from Ahmad, the son of Yahya, from Ahmad, the son of Hassan, the son of Ali, the son of Fadl, till end of it. So the problem is this second person, Ahmad ibn Yahya. This Ahmad ibn Yahya is problematic because we have different people with the same name, and some of them are known to be reliable, some of them are not known to be reliable. And you know, when there is doubt whether someone is reliable or not, we should assume he's not reliable. Yeah, means because we have to prove. Even doubt can be leading to not trusting. And even if one person in the chain has weakness, the whole chain becomes weak. Is it clear or not? It's clear. So, we have to find a solution for this problem. In the chains that we have in Istibsar and Kafi, this person is not mentioned. So, in this hadith of this Ammar in Istibsar and Kafi, this person is not mentioned. And the rest are okay. So Sanad becomes okay. But the problem is what? They don't have that sentence that we want. Yes? So their Sanad is good, but they don't have this sentence. The one that has this sentence also has one weak person here. Okay? Yes. So, what should we do? Sheikh Irwani says, there seems to be a mistake here. Because you find, first of all, remember, in Istibsar and Kafi, this person is not mentioned. First. Second, in Tahdhib, you find the same chain many, many times for different hadiths, never this person is mentioned. Always this Muhammad ibn Ahmad ibn Yahya always quotes directly from Ahmad ibn Hassan ibn Ali ibn Fadl and Amr ibn Sa'id. I mean, with the same people. Yes, maybe once he, for example, narrates from that person, but the rest of the hadith is not the same. Any place that you have the same combination, okay, Muhammad ibn Ahmad ibn Yahya, and then Ahmad ibn al-Hasan ibn Ali ibn Fadl, Amr ibn Sa'id, Musaddiq ibn Sadaqa, Ammar al-Sabati, in all these chains, this Ahmad ibn Yahya is not there. This is the only place that for this chain, Ahmad ibn Yahya is inserted. Plus, we said in Kafi and Istibsar also, he is not mentioned. So it makes you certain that this was mistake. Especially because, you know, it's very similar. Muhammad ibn Ahmad ibn Yahya and Ahmad ibn Yahya. So maybe the person repeated. You know, Muhammad ibn Ahmad ibn Yahya and Ahmad ibn Yahya and Ahmad. So sometimes it happens when you are, maybe when he was writing, the person was writing, made a mistake and repeated again. So, we can be sure that this sanad didn't have this person, and because the rest is okay, so the sanad is okay.
But at the same time, this person cannot be found in the books of Rijal.
Pardon?
This person is not in the books of Rijal. Like
no, it is.
Or Rijal Kishila.
This person is there, but this we have more than one person with this name.
Okay.
This is the problem.
So in which book is Ahmad ibn Yahya mentioned? I didn't get the Tahzib.
He is mentioned in Tahdhib, but this is the only time in Tahdhib that he is mentioned with the same people. The next issue is, does قاعده الطهاره apply to when we have doubt about النجاسة الذاتية, essential or primary uncleanness? There's difference between النجاسة الذاتية and النجاسة الأرزية. النجاسة الذاتية means something in itself is najis, like blood. نجاسة الأرزية means accidental, means it's not najis in itself, it has been affected by najis, by touching, yes, mutanajis. So you know the difference, yeah? When we say النجاسة الذاتية or أرزية, means something that by itself is najis in contrast to something which has been made najis. Okay. Does قاعدة الطهارة apply to النجاسة الذاتية when it is doubted? Like iron. For example, if someone has doubt whether iron is najis, can we say كل شيء نظيف حتى تعلم أنه قذر? It seems yes. He says, it seems our ulama have accepted that this is general. There can be a doubt, and that doubt is not very strong. The doubt is caused by another way of reading the hadith. And I think it's good to mention this to confuse you. Otherwise, I don't think it's a good thing, but I have to say it because the book. So sorry in advance. كل شيء نظيف حتى تعلم أنه قذر, means قذر. قذر is صفة مشبهة. Yeah? قذر is صفة مشبهة. Everything is نظيف, clean, unless you know that it is unclean. There is a possibility of reading it another way, and that is to take the word قذر as a verb and say قذر as a past tense, simple past tense. كل شيء نظيف حتى تعلم أنه قذر. Everything is clean till you know that it has become najis. So if it is verb, then it seems not to include najasat al-dhati, because it says it has become najis. Become najis automatically brings what? Brings to mind an najasatul araziyah. You say become najis. Okay?
Which is the right way to read it?
Pardon?
Which is the right way to read it?
Yes. Grammatically it's possible. But Sheikh Irwani says this is not a strong possibility. Why? First, because nadhif is sifat mushabbah. And this also seems to be similar. Plus, if it was hatta ta'lam annahu qadhura, the narrator should have made it clear that this is said as a verb. So the speaker must have emphasized, because Imam knows that if he says qadr, it includes najasat al-dhati, and if he didn't want, because the question is this, whether Imam particularly, instead of using qadr, use qadura, so that it would not include najasat al-dhati. You say, this should have been mentioned so clearly that would not remain ambiguous. Okay? So it's not a serious doubt. And also plus we have, as we said, general principle in Islam that najasat are mentioned, not tahara. So everything is tahir unless it is introduced as najis. Okay, so that's not a big issue. And it seems that, alhamdulillah, you were not confused, so that's good. Then, the next issue is about istishab. Does this rule apply to where we have istishabun najasa? If you have istishabut tahara and this rule, no problem. The same conclusion, yeah? Something was known to be tahir. Now you have doubt whether it's touched by najas. So you can say it's tahir because of istishab or qaida to tahara. It doesn't make big difference. But what about something which was known to be najas? And now you say maybe it is clean. Maybe someone washed it. Maybe, I don't know, it has been connected to core or whatever. So there is a chance of this being tahir, but we know that previously was najis. What should we do here? Pardon? Here we have to give preference to istishab over qa'idatul tahara. Because if someone is known to be najis in the past, and now you have doubt, according to the arguments for istishab, you should assume that still you know that it is najis. لا تنقض اليقين بالشك بل انقضه بيقين آخر. When you knew that it was najis and now you have doubt, this doubt is ignored and you assume that the previous condition is continuing. So you are not in doubt, so that you use qa'idatul tahara. Yes.
In the fiqh, we use one terminology, absence of the Muslim.
Yes.
Isn't this going against that?
Istishab.
Against istishab.
Yes.
So there, for example, if we have seen a najasa in someone's house and we go away and we come back, we assume that thing is
because that's amara, perhaps, and amara precedes asla amali. Plus, you can also say if you don't give preference to it over istishab, then it becomes almost useless. You know, that absence of Muslim. So, the istishab is giving preference. Some people have said that there is no need to discuss because or in other words, there is no need to discuss when they are both leading to the same conclusion, like tahara, but when one of them is najasa, istishab is given preference. Then the next issue is whether this applies to ash-shubahatul hukmiyah. And the answer is yes, it applies to shubahatul hukmiyah because according to Muwaththaqatu Ammar, with that general statement, كُلُّ شَيْءٍ نَظِيفٍ حَتَّى تَعْلَمَ أَنَّهُ قَذِرٌ, it is general. It can be something that you don't know its Islamic ruling, or it can be something that you know the ruling, but you don't know whether it has been touched by najas or not. So it has no problem. The other thing is, this is the last thing, is qa'idatul tahara hukmun zahiri or waqi'i? All ulama, except very few, say this is hukm zahiri. This doesn't establish real tahara. If something is touched by blood, for example, and you don't know, we say, okay, you assume it is tahir, but is it really tahir? No. But very few people, like for example, صاحب الحدائق, محدث بحراني, he said, no, it is حكم واقعي. And then Sheikh Irwani tries to argue against it. And he mentions few arguments. I mentioned some of them because I don't think this needs that much discussion. He says, suppose something was touched by najis. For example, you have water and blood was dropped into that water. A small amount of, quantity of water, a glass of water. Blood was dropped. You didn't know. So you do asalatut tahara. Then you realize that before that time, blood was dropped. Someone tells you, before that I saw drop was there. According to Sahibul Hadaiq, there is a problem here. Why? Because it was really tahir at that time, and now it is really najis at that time. It cannot be possible. How something can be at the same time really tahir and really najis? Or another problem. If something was touched by najis and you didn't know, so it is clean. And when you know, nothing new has happened. So how can you say it has become najis? So it seems that tahara and najasa are real things, are not dependent on our knowledge. Whether we know it or not, they are there. Yes, if we don't know that something is najis, practically we have no obligation. As a hukm al-zahiri, we can assume that it is tahir. But this doesn't make it really tahir. Yeah? Just for our convenience, Shara says, you assume it is tahir. If it is later known that it was najis from the same moment that it was made najis, not from the moment that I know. It's not that from that moment becomes najis. It's najis from the first moment that it was touched. And last point that I'm not going to discuss, and he has not discussed also, he says in fiqh, is whether tahara in something like salat is a condition or najasa is obstacle. This is not related to our discussion here, so we leave it. So alhamdulillah, we managed to finish قاعده الطهاره. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.